Fermé. Voilà. Here's tails, Roger. Youssef. Roger Federer to set. Ready? Play. Fitting love.
I can remember Pete Sampras so often winning matches in big events very easily, Todd. And Federer possesses the same, well, he possesses, in my opinion, more artistic skills than any player that's ever played, but he has the ability to finish matches really quickly. And in conditions like this, it becomes part of what's necessary, I think, to save your energy for the ultimate match. So he'll be looking today in these hot conditions, not as hot as it was earlier, but he'll be looking to try to finish this off as quickly as he can.
Love.
Well, it's a perfect start. Love game for Federer. He leads 1-love first set.
First game.
I'll be interested to know what your opinion is on Azarenka this week. To me, she's not at her best yet. She's been struggling a little bit, maybe a tiny bit rusty at the beginning of the season. I wonder if she can peak, though, in this final.
Well, Serena, it could be said, was the same in the semi-final against Sharapova because she only served 41% of first serves in, and that's a very low percentage for her. If she improves that, she's going to be dangerous also. So both of them got room to move in the final.
That's the forehand we talked about of Jeremy Chardy. If he receives a weakish return, a slow floating ball in the middle of the court after his serve, don't expect him to hold back on the forehand wing. He will hit it hard and heavy into one of the corners from there. Whoa, that's a wild one, though.
15 all.
But he didn't hold back. He went after that, Chardy.
Wow. That was a slight miss-hit, that one there. Then he dropped off the length, a bit of time to really step in and rip. Immaculate timing on that one, though, from Federer, already asserting himself.
All. 30-14.
Well, this is sort of the pressure you face, you know, against a lesser player. You mightn't see that in the opening game from Chardy, but his heart rate will be up higher than normal here against Roger. And just pressing a little bit too much on a couple of occasions here. This would not be a good start for him. Oh, that's as good as it gets, that forehand. Gee, you walk a fine line, though, when you go after that so much. That was a low margin here. He plays the off one, which is easier to hit in the court. But from back there to hit that shot, there's zero room for error. And on a break point, that's a big risk. But if you can make it, you can win the point with it. Oh, beautiful. Sweet forehand return. Limited backswing here from Federer. The ball's coming quickly. Limited backswing, just meets the ball out in front, and that's timing.
Game, Federer.
So the perfect start continues for Roger Federer. He gets an early break at 2-love.
Federer leads by 2 games to net.
Just looking at the rankings, Fitzy, and Leighton Hewitt, having progressed through to the final, he will just edge his way back into the top 50 regardless of the result in the final, and that would put him back at Australia's #1 again. Well, there's Mrs. Federer, Merker there with the sunglasses on. On the left is Mary Jo Fernandez. A lot of you will remember her. Very fine player, Australian Open runner-up in the ladies singles. Playing at the Legends event at this year's Australian Open as well, and married to Tony Godsick, who is the agent of Roger Federer.
That forehand there of Federer was hit with a lot less forward speed.
Well,
a lady's just taken one in the ear from
she won't mind.
No. And what I wanted to say about that previous forehand was that less forward speed, more control and dip. So it's not all about bludgeoning power. It's about hitting the ball for what it's worth when you need to. Don't overplay it. He had an opening there, and just all he needed to do was take the speed off the ball, and it would be a winner. So just amazing intuition that he makes decisions so quickly in his mind.
Well, it's another love game for Federer, and in 8 minutes he races to 3-love in this opening set.
Federer leads by 2 games to net. Take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Time.
Well, plenty of fans needed today, not just the spectators in fans, but to keep yourself cool here at the Brisbane International. I'm not sure if it quite got to the temperature needed, Fitzy, but it's almost been the hottest day in 70 years here in Brisbane. Well, we saw this sort of happen in the quarterfinal against Australia's Marinko Matosevic. Matosevic losing 1-1 to Federer. He didn't know quite how to attack, and the same thing's happening for Chardy because all of his good stuff's coming back better.
Oh, great smash. Good sign of his athleticism, Chardy. And I'm not sure how often he would normally come to the net in the course of a match, Todd, but I'm sure against Roger Federer, he feels like he's got to do something pretty special. So he might try to mix it up a bit more than normal and finish the points earlier. Great smash there.
40 for 10.
Oh, that was a little bit rusty.
40,
The chip, not a shot you'd expect Chardy to play too often in the course of a match, and there was just a little lack of feel there on that backhand slice.
Game, Chardy.
And at last he's on the board. Federer ahead 3-1.
Federer leads by 3 games to 1.
Had a stellar junior career, Jeremy Chardy, 2005 Wimbledon junior champion. So that suggests that he can play on the faster courts, likes to come forward. But he's also a runner-up at Roland Garros on the clay, so he's versatile.
In the juniors?
In the juniors. Career high of 25 in the ATP rankings. Achieved that last year.
15 on.
Very lithe sort of body, hasn't he, Chardy? He's not muscle bound by any means. He's long and lanky, long limbs. That generates power with a modern racket swing.
(30-15).
Great shot there of Roger Federer imparting the kick on the serve, getting that ball to jump up above shoulder height on Chardy.
magnificent.
Game, Federer.
He's looking good, isn't he? Federer 4-1 first set.
Federer leads by 4 games to 1. Seats quickly, please. Thank you. Time.
You're talking about the height, Fitzy. This is Jeremy Chardy, 6'2". He actually looks a bit taller than that, but then you got Roger Federer down the other end, 6'1", and Roger sometimes looks larger than he actually is. By that I mean he looks taller than 6'1". I think that's the presence that he has out on court.
15 left.
Well, I think in part that error was caused by the movement of Federer there. He very cagily just remained in the same place for a little while after this return, and it should have been an easy put away for Chardy, but the last second he started making a move to his forehand court where Chardy was going, and I think maybe Chardy went for a little more than he needed to. It is a big forehand, isn't it, Chardy? You know, interesting to see the swing pattern of his forehand and how far the racket head actually travels before he makes contact with the ball. And then the follow through. From the start to the finish, it's a long way, a lot longer than the traditional forehand used to be years ago. And that's why you get so much, with the racket head speed, you get so much power.
40 for 10.
And part of that is enabled by the modern rackets, the aerodynamic nature of them, and you can swing them more quickly through the air.
Game, Chardy.
A solid game for Chardy, but it's Federer with the break. 4-2 first set.
Federer leads by 4 games to 2.
Great depth there from Federer, and then look how accurate he is. Just knows exactly when that forehand's going to dip.
30 left.
Not often you get the complete package. You need a bit of luck, I think, as a tennis player to have the genes to be able to acquire that full package of talent. But Federer is blessed with it, and he just shows it in spades.
Oh, he just missed it. He was there with plenty of time. By full package, though, Fitzy, you mean the talent to be a shot maker, but it's also the talent to manage himself as well as he does off the court. And there's temperament to maintain on the court. There's so many elements that he has covered.
Didn't
really fully commit himself to that backhand slice, did he? Up 40 love here, 4-2 and 40 love. There was a little bit of casualness there. Magnificent again.
He's dominating on serve, Federer, and he leads 5-2 in the first set of the semi-final.
Federer leads by 5 games to 2. Time.
King Roger, 77 career titles and counting. I think it's an amazing stat that last year, 2013, only won 1 title in Halle. There's the lead up to Wimbledon, Fitzy, and somebody that's been so good. That's a poor year by anyone's standards, and would really do him a lot of good to start this year with a title. And I think it could be dangerous for the other 3 in the big four.
A dangerous precedent.
Talked a bit about the changes that Federer has made this week with the newer racket, employing Stefan Edberg to get to Australia. I think this has been one of the good changes, the change of schedule, coming to Australia early and playing this event.
Thank you.
Good stuff from Chardy there. Took Federer off the court. Don't underestimate how well he's hitting the ball here, Chardy. Takes Federer off the court, and then a beautiful quick step inside the baseline. That takes time away from Roger, and the ball's there before he can react.
Let for service. Left.
Good serving from Chardy. Fourth ace, 64% of first serves in play so far. It's dropped the opening service game, however.
Game shuttle.
Love game, and Federer will serve the first set at 5-3.
Federer leads by 5 games to 3. Love.
How easy is that, just to start a game? Incredible angle up the line.
Light.
Perfect direction on the first point to go up 15 love and set the tone. It's almost like, you know, the analogy for me, Todd, sometimes is, you know, a player like Chardy, the quality he is, he's a heck of a tennis player. And he's battled away to hang on from 5-2 to hold his serve at 5-3, and Federer just has, he has another couple of gears. He can do this in his sleep. It's like he's in third gear here. Nonchalant. Sign of the talent of Chardy as well.
Up until that point, Federer had only dropped 2 points on serve for the entire set. And that one made it 3. Still set point.
Light for service.
Well, Federer wasting no time, takes the opening set in just 27 minutes by 6 games to 3.
By 6 games to 3. For your seats, thank you. Time. Second set.
Start of the second here. Chardy serving. Just going through the scorecards, Fitzy, and the match with Matosevic. And the last 2 sets, Federer has only dropped 7 points on serve. It's a dominance, isn't it? That's quite impressive.
And I think probably relates to what we talked about earlier. He can win matches easily, and over a tournament, it controls the damage physically, you know. And so if you win quickly, that's what Pete Sampras was a master at. He'd win so many games on his own serve quickly, it just saved his energy.
30 left.
I think Fed just struggling a little with the sun down here at the moment. It's two shanks, and the previous point he just looked as if the angle wasn't right for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that he'd miss-hit 2 balls in one game, isn't it?
For 10. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Well, you have to admire the change up there from Chardy, but not his biggest strength, the serve and volley. He'd prefer, or feels more comfortable staying back after the first serve, but just an indication that he knows he has to do something a little special. Huge forehand.
Chardy leads 1-love. Second set.
First game, second set.
And whenever Federer plays, Fitz had plenty of highlights. And again, in the first set, we saw the full repertoire.
Well, you do, but sometimes you just take it for granted that he makes difficult shots look the norm, does Roger? And it just doesn't get your attention as much, I don't think, as other players, because you see him do it all the time. It's constant. The timing, that shot was the one I talked about earlier, where he took the pace off the ball, because that's all he needed to do. And when he needs to get more forward speed, he clicks into gear. You can see how Chardy dominated the juniors, can't you? I mean, if you possess a weapon like he has on the forehand side, in the juniors, that would do a ton of damage. The all-court players, I think, tend to take a little longer to mature, and they don't always dominate at a younger age, but once they find their feet, that's what I'm waiting for from Dimitrov. It'll be interesting to see how the summer of Grigor Dimitrov evolves, I think.
Well, I think the year, and more so even than the summer, because I think new coaching relationship with Roger Rashid's putting a lot more discipline into the daily schedule.
Saw
a good piece in the paper about Dimitrov. You see Mary Jo Fernandez on the left and Merker in the middle there, watching up in the corporate suite, where Rogers decided to get rid of the fancy shoes and nicknames and just concentrate on the basics.
We talked about that too earlier, about how Federer has the ability to go hard and flat into the forehand of Chardy, and that might make him catch a few late. That was a case in point there.
Oh, gee, they're fairly fancy shoes.
(40-30). Light. Game of Federer.
Hold for Federer to level it 1-1 in the second.
1 game on.
So a little mini issue in that game for Federer, but getting out of it quite easily in the end. Goes about his business, doesn't he, Chardy? He's a good professional. Just indicating there with his racket head after that serve, when he was disappointed, Chardy, he just indicated that he needed to brush across the ball more with his strings to impart a little more topspin to control that second serve. Well, that's the way he likes to play.
30-15.
He likes to get a return that comes back with not a lot of speed on it. And that gives him time to back away and hit his favourite shot.
Mr. Federer challenging the call on the right service line. The ball was called in.
I think this is one of the Fed challenges that he throws away. He does it so often. He's already on his way to return. Catches almost most of the line.
14-15. Mr. Federer has 2 challenges.
Sometimes I wonder whether he's just kidding about that. He just challenges for the sake of doing it. He gets...
I think on that one he's actually just hacked off. He missed the return.
Probably. Yeah, there's got to be another reason why he does it. I think you're probably right. Awesome. So part of that gene pool of assets that Federer has is that quick first step. I mean, we were sitting at courtside, and in replay, that forehand of Chardy's didn't look that imposing, but he crushed that forehand across court, and Federer looked like he had all the time in the world with a quick first step to get there, and he hurts Chardy right back, goes behind him and makes him change direction.
Mr. Federer challenging the call on the right side line.
What about this one?
This one's closer to being out, I think. Yeah. That one sits right on
Ball on
our
time.
line of sight from the commentary
Second service.
position.
Deuce.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you think when, well, my feeling is when Chardy gets a ball that floats back to him, then he's going to do some damage to you. But that one, he had to move inside. It was short with no pace, that slice, and he had to move forward, and he just sort of mistimed the movement.
Let's for service. Advantage, shocking. Game,
a longer struggle for Chardy, but he manages to hold on. Federer took the first, Chardy 2-1 in the second.
Chardy leads by 2 games to 1. Time.
Well, it just seems that Roger Federer just ever so slightly struggling a little with this difficult period where the shadow comes across the court. Just been a few mishits, and that's hard for both players. Probably got around about 10 more minutes before the court is back in full shade.
Tops. 13 love. Love. Well,
these type of games certainly help. It's a miss hit. Not normal. I think you're right, Ty. That we we played a Davis Cup tie here a couple of years ago, and that afternoon sun through the opening between the top of the stadium and the roof can be quite awkward for a short period of time. And I think that's the reason why he's mishit a couple.
Game, Federer.
Just long, no challenge from Chardy, so it is 2-all second set.
2 games all.
He's tempted, isn't he?
He
was tempted. He thought about it, Roger. He was going to challenge. I think it probably did catch the outside, and there you go. It did. He gets frustrated with this technology, it seems, Roger. Oh, clever, clever, clever. How's the control on the racket face? He held that. Just held it beautifully, did Federer. He could have gone either way here.
And watch the first step after this backhand rip. He's quite deep in the court. This was short. That is...
We all thought he was going down the line, didn't we?
Well,
yeah. Well, I did anyway. And
skill.
Yeah, he just holds it.
Wonderful movement with racket head. So the first hint of trouble on the Chardy serve since he dropped his opening service game in the second game of the first set.
Well, he got caught. Made a mistake there for once, did Roger. He misread, I think, the slice from Chardy a little bit. It was a little bit of a mishit. So it had no forward speed on it. That was mishit, short and slow, and just a fraction slow by his standards, Roger, with the first step this time. Gets there a little late.
Well, probably should have been a backhand. He was trying to get round and use the forehand.
And I think that animation there from Roger is just a bit of an indication that he would prefer to get off this court as quickly as he can. He had 15:30 here.
Well, of course, he's going to go play doubles as well.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Game, Chardy.
Strong game from Chardy. It's on serve in the second. He leads 3-2.
Chardy leads by 3 games to 0. Time.
Well, just a slight lull here for Federer, by his standards I'm talking about. I mean, Chardy's taking it to him here, serving pretty well, and he's been competitive. It's good stuff. Well, the depth there, if you're good enough to hit it deep against the Chardy forehand, I think it hurts him a little bit. He prefers the ball bouncing mid-court. This ball gets really close to the baseline and catches him late.
You know, this is the difference between Roger Federer of most of his career and the last 12 months, is that it was the point in that previous game, 15-30, that short forehand, he, you know, didn't get up to or made a mistake in choice of shot. Then you just notice him get a little tense. Tense for Roger means he gives you a couple of unforced errors, and it's just an indication to the opponent that he isn't invincible. I've seen it a couple of times at the slams over the last year too, where his matches really could have won, and one in particular at Wimbledon against Stikowski in the second round. Finds his way out of that brief moment of trouble to level at 3-all. He's a good athlete, gets back well, doesn't he? A lovely leap.
And he plays taller at the net, I think. Those wiry legs that really push him quickly back up, and long arm to reach that smash. He's good overhead. Well, he gets away with it. I thought he'd gone the wrong way there, Todd. He decided to go into the Federer forehand with the approach shot. It doesn't get any more dangerous than that. To me, he should have gone away, but Roger doesn't thread the needle enough. Going away means a cross court to the backhand. He's winning his service games pretty easily in this set, Chardy. He's really established a bit of a foothold.
Game, Chardy.
That
Ball
one
change
is a love
please.
game. Chardy
Remonts.
looking better in the second. He leads 4-3.
Chardy leads by 4 against the 3. For your seats, thank you. Time.
Federer serving with new balls.
13 love.
I hope Marenko's watching this match so that he can learn a little bit from his loss yesterday to Roger. He just needs that bit of variety in his game, doesn't he, to go to another level, I think, Marenko. Good effort to make the quarterfinals here, but Chardy is taking Federer a little bit more out of the court, using the angles, the heavy topspin.
He's also stayed competitive for longer in spirit.
Yeah.
I think
there'll be an element of this second set, though, that Roger won't be happy with. He's made more unforced errors than we normally see from him. In fact, 10 in this set so far.
3 aces, though, to hold his serve. Quick points, aren't they? It's 4-all.
4 against all.
We talk about Federer as possibly the greatest of all time. A lot of people think that he is. And that's off the back of his record, 17 Grand Slams. But if he were to win the tournament here in Brisbane, he's currently tied with John McEnroe on 77 career titles. He would pass McEnroe and become the number 3 on that list. He's still chasing Lendl at 94 and Jimmy Connors with 109. It shows you the quality of the careers that those two men have.
Oh, they are legends, both of them. But you know what? They both won 8 major singles titles each. He's won 17. That's the difference. Connors winning 5 US Opens, 2 Wimbledons and an Australian Open. Lendl 3 Frenches, 3 US Opens and 2 Australian Championships.
30-15.
That chink.
2 doubles and all of a sudden pressure at 4-all, 30-all. This is where you'd expect Federer to pounce.
And where you hope that juniors will learn the lesson that they need to play each point on its merits when it gets close. Not think about the score if you can help it. It's difficult to do, but it's important.
Bounces back well.
40-30.
Served very well in that, even though he lost the first bit, served well percentage-wise. Just falling under 50% now, Chardy. But he gets the hold and he goes ahead 5-4, second set. First set, Federer 6-3.
Chardy leads by 5 against the 4. Time.
Well, it's a valiant effort here from Jeremy Chardy. He's managed to hold serve, keep himself ahead in this set. Wonder whether he can build a bit of pressure here on the Federer serve. 5-4 he leads. Hard to build pressure. All of a sudden, Federer's got that serve running well, hasn't he? It's 3 or 4 aces out there.
Yeah, and how often does he do it on the first point of a game to give himself a lead? He's pumped there, Chardy. First time I've seen a bit of animation from his end there. He clenched his fist.
This is where he's dangerous because he's the sort of player that will go for his shots. And if he gets a ball that he can really have a rip at, he can put Federer on the back foot.
Well, he knew that was going there, or he guessed it might be.
He did, but you can see Federer really targeting the forehand because of the big swing and in particular the grip. It's a long way around, very Western grip. You see how far around that is, and it's tough to really block a return back. He has to hit it perfect.
Mr. Chardy challenging the call on the left far sideline. The ball was called in.
Very quick challenge. He's confident, isn't he? Eagle eye.
That's the one I'm talking about. Give him the forehand, he's going to rip it.
And he really is pumping himself here. He can sniff a set. Covering the forehand a little more here. Well, he tried to do what you said he had trouble with, Todd, and
he's very uncomfortable with that grip.
He is.
40-30.
But he stood about half a metre further to the right for that serve of Federer's, knowing that Federer perceives that wing as a weakness when he's serving to it. So during the rally, Roger doesn't perceive it as a weakness. It's serving to it and going to it first. Going hard and quick into the forehand. But can he go there 4 times in a row, Federer? It's deuce.
Light. Second service.
And many mind games here. Chardy edging over to his left, opening the forehand up a little bit. Oh, he's unlucky, Chardy. Taking it to the champ.
Advantage Federer.
He was teasing Federer a little bit there. Second serve at deuce, edging towards his left to open his forehand corner up. And Roger went there twice in a row with the second serve as well. Once was a let and he had to repeat it.
Brilliant second serve from Federer. That was a tighter game on the Fed serve, so 5-all.
5 games on.
Yeah, the depth catches him.
Love 14.
That's the one he has trouble with. Not enough on the return there from Federer.
15 all.
And you're right, Todd. As soon as Chardy has an opportunity, he goes for it. So he is dangerous. Knows he has to play to that level to have a chance here, but executing beautifully off that forehand wing.
Flat first service.
So that's the objective, isn't it, of Roger Federer? Hard and quick, straight back into the forehand wing, and preferably with some depth on it. But even that one caused the error, and it was a short return. It was just quick.
All. 40-30.
He's been impressive, Chardy. If he maintains this standard over the next 3 weeks, he's going to beat a lot of players here in the Southern Summer. Oh,
Yeah,
great flair.
Stayed down beautifully and hold serve. So Chardy, 6-5 second set. Federer took the first.
Chardy leads by 6 games to 5.
Well, it's been a pretty quick match, really. Just an hour and 11 minutes. Federer took the opening set, 6 games to 3. Broke in Chardy's first service game, the second game of the match. Since then, it's been all holds. Roger has to hold here to take it to the second set tiebreak.
His serve's underrated, isn't it? Gee, it's a good serve, accurate, and has an uncanny ability to serve well when it matters. Tell you what, though, he won't want this to go to 3 sets. For a number of reasons. Doubles next. Energy, conservation.
Well, regardless, he won't have put out as much energy as Leighton Hewitt had to do today, playing in the real heat of the day. Tough match with Kei Nishikori. Oof. That was
Gee, what language was that?
Mr. Chardy checking the ball on the right baseline. Ball is called in.
It was a bit of a late call, but it was an aggressive late call. Came out very fast, didn't it?
Yeah, in some other foreign language.
It was a good call.
Well, he did well. Replay.
Here's the call.
Right jump off good.
I still don't know what he said.
Mr. Chardy challenging the call on the right baseline.
Well, a bit of his own medicine there. Federer gets from Chardy. Gets around and smashes the first return.
40-13.
It's got some serious forward speed on it.
Game of Federer.
12th ace. Even dozen of aces for Federer to level. We're talking about the grips. You can see here, that's Chardy on the left. See how underneath the grip and around his return grip is, and then on the right is Roger Federer, far more neutral. And because of that, Federer has a much more solid forehand return. He's able to just block, get the ball back into play, and a really good picture there to illustrate the differences.
and that's terrific information. You know, the reason Chardy is so far around is because he imparts so much topspin on his forehand. But what comes with that is a little lack of versatility. And so Federer's forehand is much more versatile. He can do more things with it, but Chardy's got the big weapon there with the topspin, and that's what he relies on.
One all. Please.
Oh, big shot.
Best part of the match, I think. There was some intense hitting there.
2-1, Chardy.
It's the forehand that comes from that grip he's got.
So the first mini break goes to the Frenchman.
Two all.
Federer went with a safe smash here, just going back cross court. Read well by Chardy. Unforced off the backhand, so they're back on serve.
Three, two, Chardy.
Jeremy Chardy is in full flight here. And this is a dangerous situation
4-2, Chardy.
for Roger Federer. Chardy not holding back one iota, just going after everything on the forehand wing, and it's putting Federer under a lot of pressure. What would you do now if you were Chardy?
Oh, I would just keep doing exactly the same thing. If I were Roger Federer, however, I would just try to change up some pace a little bit. He's playing at the same pace, which is now going into the hands of Chardy. A bit more off on the slice backhand, low into the forehand. Just give him something different to look at. It's had a feel about it that has played into the hands of the Frenchman.
He's keen. Well, that was a must-win point you would expect for Roger there to stay within touch.
4-3, Chardy.
How good is that forehand?
Well, I thought Roger was listening to you.
Well, he did. He took a little more flight, didn't he?
He did.
But watch the way he gets around this.
Well, he's redlining with his forehand.
He certainly is, but he's got it going. So 5-3.
Time for the morning, Mr. Chardy.
Well,
gee whiz.
Goodness me. Stay out of it right now, will you, mate? We don't need that in this match.
You know what I mean? At least move faster.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting ready to put the ball up.
Yeah,
Give him a break.
It's not about you, umpire. I know you don't have to be super strict when the time is inappropriate.
Well, in some ways, you're glad he won that point, even if you're a Federer fan.
6-3, Chardy.
Yeah, a little bit of feel is really needed in situations like this. I mean, this is tennis at the highest standard. And they're not deliberately holding up play, either player. Playing with good rhythm.
3-set points for Chardy.
Yeah, let him go. Well,
That's right.
Yeah, he deserved that.
Well done to Jeremy Chardy. We're going to a third.
7-6.
Chardy takes it in the tiebreak, 7-6.
Take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Sit quickly, please. Time. Final sets. Roger Federer to serve. Let for service. Fifteen love. 30 love. 30-15. All.
Ground on the baseline, and well, it's again Federer refusing to give up that ground on the baseline and just adjust a little bit to come back to give himself some time and room, and I think that's costly. Again, it's being a little stubborn in not changing the way he's playing.
This is a very dangerous situation now for Roger Federer.
Break point, Chardy, first game of the third. Oh, took a cut at that, didn't he?
Well, there's always
Deuce.
sort of two cases to mount there, isn't there? You go after it, and
Well, that's how he's taken the second set.
gee, that was a wild one there, though. Is that Roger who said to himself, "Great serve"?
I think it was.
He said that in English.
Advantage, Federer.
Self-confidence booster.
Game of Federer.
13th ace, and from break point down, Federer holds opening game of the third.
First game of final sets.
Most of the highlights came off the forehand winger Chardy, Fitzy.
Well, there was a lot of highlights from both players in the second, but you've got to give it to Jeremy Chardy. He played one of the best sets, I'm sure, that he's played in a while, and really took it to the champ, did everything right. He was aggressive, took his chances when they presented themselves, mixed his game up, came to the net, served well as well, and he's got the champ worried a little bit here. He would have had him more worried if he'd converted there on the break point there, first game of the third. So he deserves to be in it, Chardy.
By 7 games to 6. Fifteen left. Flat. Thirty left.
That was a let.
14 left. I didn't hear, honestly. Machine did. If I hear, I call anyway. You pay attention. No, absolutely. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, less talking, more listening. That's what Roger's inferring, I think. It's interesting though. I thought I heard that let early, Todd, in the mics on the side of the court. Federer definitely heard it. But sometimes when you're sitting laterally adjacent to the court, I think it can be a little more difficult to pick up.
14-15.
It's something different from Roger. That's what you're inferring. He doesn't have to go after it to compete with Chardy on his terms all the time. Yeah, and
40-30.
just have to win. You don't have to win on the other, play the other guy's strengths.
Or maybe a bit more slice into the back end of Chardy to get him to hit the slice. That will give him time.
Well, he didn't win the game, but he showed some variety.
1-1. And here's the hit point from Chardy. From one set to the other, Fitzy.
Yeah, well, he's certainly playing more shots inside the court, isn't he? On the right there, he's gone to the net. He didn't go to the net once in the first set. And certainly showing more intent to play an all-court game. I think you're right, Todd. He is trying to stand and deliver and go toe to toe. You know, and it's like two heavyweights going head to head and trying to beat each other up. But he's got so much more variety in his game, Federer, that we haven't seen. Only just an inkling of it in the last game, and that mightn't be a bad alternative for him at the moment.
Mr. Federer challenging the call on the left service line. The ball was called out.
Well, he's got one. The challenge has gone Roger's way at last. And it was an important one. And his body language is just showing a little bit of aggravation here too, Roger. Everything's not going his way, and he's frustrated at the moment, which is something that would give Chardy some more encouragement, I would think.
Watching out the aces, 15 for the match.
30 all.
Oh, perfect serve wide. Takes the speed off it. And that enables the server to angle the ball closer up the line. Untouchable.
Game, Federer.
3 in a row from Federer, and he leads 2-1 third set.
Ball changer, please. New balls. Federer leads by 2 games to 1. Time. So your seats, please. Thank you.
Well, a tense time here in this third set. Federer's serve really is the stroke that's keeping him with his nose in front here in the third set. He's served well. I think if you're fair here, you'd say that Chardy has got the upper hand from the back of the court in the last 30 or 40 minutes.
He
hits it through the line again, Chardy. So frustration continues here for Roger.
You know, the one thing I've noticed in Roger in the last 12 months is that when he's been under pressure, he thinks he has to outplay his opponents, and it looks as though he's forgetting that he has such an aura about him, and he's not as patient as he needs to be to let the opponent unravel.
Yeah, let them implode a bit. The question here really is whether Chardy can continue this level too, though.
That's my point. So one of the hardest things for any player when you come up against one of the greats is to actually finish a match off. Roger, at times recently, has been helping them.
That was a fantastic shot. And there's that variety sneaking back in. Federer there really was smart. The logical shot here is a cross court, and Chardy thinks it's going there, and he got caught on the back foot. Federer angled that one down the line against the trend of what would be normal.
Continues to do well with the forehand. Chardy levels it 2-all.
2 games on. Chardy challenging the call on the left far side line. The ball was called out.
So if this touches the line, Chardy gets the point because Roger had no chance on this one. And it's good. Look at that.
Love 15.
So love 15.
all. $13-15.
Great angle there to visually see how far that ball moves off the court surface. Tell you what, Chardy is asking some serious questions here. He sneaks in, he gets a little lucky there and does the right, sneaks in, doesn't quite do enough with the volley, but he's still asking the questions.
(40-30).
Oh, and getting a bit of luck. He apologises, Chardy. That's not what Roger Federer needs
Deuce.
when the tension starts to mount here. Great second serve. That came off the frame and increased the angle there, made it very awkward for Federer. His serving is...
Mr. Chardy challenging the call on the right fast side line. The ball was
Federer's
called
serving
in.
is actually keeping him really in this match.
You're right, particularly that wide one at the forehand. 18 aces.
I think it's
hit.
Offense. Advantage of Federer.
Make it 19.
Chardy challenging the call on the right service line. The ball was called in.
Oh, he's going for a second challenge. He just lost the previous. That's a bad challenge. He's only got one left now for the rest of this third set. Federer leads 3-2.
Mr. Chardy has one challenge remaining. Time.
Well, the crowd really lifting and getting into this second semi-final. Leighton Hewitt already through to the final here. Great comeback today against Kei Nishikori in 3 sets. And Jeremy Chardy pushing the #1 seed.
Light. Second service.
Good footwork there from Federer. That enabled him to hit the percentage shot there with the forehand. So, as well as Chardy has played here, it only takes a couple of points, doesn't it, to change the tide.
All.
Now that's uncharacteristic.
That missed by a mile. Put that one out of the, I think, towards the throat of the racket.
He
continues to chip this return too, and there's just not quite enough on it to give Chardy any problems, and it enables him to have plenty of time to back away and dictate the point, doesn't it?
Another strong service game from the Frenchman. 3-all.
3 games on.
Hasn't been a break of serve since the second game of this match. Someone's going to have to crack soon, you'd think.
15 love. $15 all.
What Chardy has to be careful of here is not just dropping a touch of his intensity, thinking, geez, I'm doing well here. I've pushed Federer. I'm close to my career best win, biggest by a mile.
Oh, as casual as you like. That was not easy, that first volley. Chardy does well because this is a surprise move from Federer, and he still pounds the return and makes it a difficult volley. But the first pickup was sublime.
Solid game from Federer, and he's still ahead in the third. 4-3 on serve.
Federer leads by 4 games to 3. Sits quickly, please. Thank you. Time.
See, the other thing, I've just mentioned it, Federer hasn't broken since the second game of the first set. He's continually staying in the same position on serve, hasn't given a different look to Chardy, just to change it up. step around a little here. Show the forehand. Just mentioned Fitz had too many chips. Hello,
There you go.
15 all.
Oh, good. We were thinking alike there.
That's the luckiest call of all time from you there. You called it before it happened.
Well, it goes to show that he's at least thinking. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Will he do it again?
Probably less likely on the first court, I think. Well, he's got to Chardy thinking at least. But on the first court, it's more difficult because the further back he goes, it increases the opportunity of angling that second serve out wide and getting a free point. So he stood in there. Good depth. And maybe just something different has caused Chardy to visually see something else. Starts thinking about it. It's all part of the competitive psyche. Well, can you believe it? The question was going to be asked of Jeremy Chardy whether he could maintain the standard he had.
Well, that's what I spoke about in the previous 2 games, whether he'd stay there.
He's got to be able to run through the tape with that same level of intensity to beat players like this. So a chink in the armour, 15-40.
Thank you.
Well, the serve deserted him.
Federer.
He didn't have to do much to win that game in the end, Federer.
I think it's more the presence, and that's what the psychology can do. You're playing the great champion. You played well enough to win virtually, but can you run through the tape? And Federer, you're right, didn't really have to do anything there at all to break. Chardy handed it to him on a plate.
Thank you.
Federer just serve for the match.
Love. Love.
With the 20th ace, Federer has 3 match points.
14-11.
It's the dream final for the Brisbane International. Roger Federer will take on Leighton Hewitt.